watching Malc Benjy. You lucky son of a bitch. Subscribe.
Hello and welcome to Malc Benjy's Vidcast. I'm Malc.
And I'm Benjy.
And today we have another review for you, which may or may not feature this character here.
What, me?
Yes, we're reviewing Benjy, the movie. It's really exciting. But we're also going to review Guardians of the Galaxy. So, yeah, look forward to that. And before that, we're going to sort of cover some trivia and odds and sods from the world of movies and geekery.
Yeah.
And other associated things. So yeah, let's get right to it. Let's get hooked on some
cracking.
feelings.
Absolutely good.
Yeah.
You're a good chaka.
So first up, we have a triple bill of
We'll do the Austrian Oak.
the Austrian Oak threesome. Okay, I immediately
Troika?
regret saying that. Troika's much better.
You don't want a threesome with the Austrian Oak. I
really
imagine
don't.
he'd be very selfish.
He wouldn't define it as cheating though, and he'd be very surprised.
Yeah, if you don't end up with a love child at the end of it, it's just not cheating.
It's just not. Yeah, it's not proper. You know. Maria, what are you pulling that face for?
You know what I was like when you married me.
When you think about it, it's really your fault. Right, okay.
Yeah. Arnie's lawyers, please don't sue us.
I think we've said worse things about him.
Before we get onto this, off the cuff, I was in Tesco or Asda or one supermarket chain that sells books quite some time ago, and his autobiography was there on the shelf, and I had a look at the chapter where he describes his wife finding out about the love child. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. And I don't mean the event, I don't mean finding out that your husband's had a baby with someone else 10 years ago. I just mean the way he tries to be sensitive, and he's not a sensitive man. The way he tries to justify it, and he can't justify it. It's hilarious.
It's quite, in a way, that's quite reassuring, because it certainly adds to the likelihood that these really are his own words, and not we're just being told they're his own words.
Oh no, it's definitely Arnie.
It's as subtle as a brick.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
Yeah. So
on to actual news.
Yeah. Will we start with the most recent, or will we? Yeah. I think.
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, go on. Start the most recent.
Well, I was thinking because then that way we've got a bit of a feature of the old.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So the most recent Arnie thing has happened in the last day, I would say, or maybe earlier today, maybe last night. I don't Americanness and timelines always mess me up, but certainly within the last news cycle.
Yeah.
On Twitter and Facebook and things, there's been a picture and a title from the new Terminator movie. Terminator Genesis.
When you say Genesis, you mean the way it's always been spelled, right? Genesis?
No, you renegade.
The only way to spell it? You mean that, don't you?
I presume this film is going to be about Arnold Schwarzenegger going back in time and rewriting portions of the dictionary.
Ah, I see. I see.
Genesys. No, Isys.
Isys.
Yeah. It's presumably SYS, like as in system, like computer system, like Skynet.
Like Cyberdyne Systems.
Yeah. Really, I'm not looking forward to it. Yeah, okay.
Now, I know there's no rule that Hollywood producers have to use accurate spelling in their film titles. But I also believe those people who perpetuate the dissolution of our language, two big words, should be strung up and shot. Not lethally, I'm not a monster. You know, just a nice flesh wound just to teach them a lesson.
Maybe wing a pinky off or something.
Yeah, it's the least that they can expect when they start mucking up. Don't tell me how to spell Genesis, you foxy swines.
I don't know if they're trying to tell us how to spell it. I think they're just making a pun, in fairness.
Well, yeah.
It's not a good one.
I'm not being literal.
Okay, sorry. I'm being too Draxy.
But it's a word. Yeah. It's a word. It exists as a word. It has a spelling already. Stop it. Stop it. You
It's
seem like a teenager. You seem like a 12-year-old trying to text speak. Stop it.
Yeah, this would feel a lot more appropriate in the early to mid 90s if they were trying to be cool with a K, and stuff. Ironically, of course, in the early 90s, Terminator sequels had sensible names and were really good. But
Well, now here's interesting. Genesis, Judgment Day. Okay.
Yeah,
If
another
it- if
reason
it-
to leave the spelling alone.
If it was
yeah.
just Genesis, it would have fit a lot better, wouldn't it?
It would have, yeah.
Never mind.
They were almost accidentally clever then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would dearly like it to be good. I like 1 and 2 enough that and I for all his many flaws as an actor, I enjoy Arnie in this role. He's so synonymous with this role that that a nostalgic part of me wants to be able to love Terminator again.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not convinced I'm going to.
No.
Um,
I think the best Terminator we've had since T2 are the 45 minutes to an hour of good film that is in Terminator Salvation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everything else, T3, the bad bits of Salvation, and this are just scraping a barrel that doesn't have anything left in it to be scraped.
I genuinely preferred the Sarah Connor Chronicles to all of T3 and a lot of Salvation. It's
Yes.
not blameless though. There's a lot of stuff in Sarah Connor Chronicles I didn't like.
Yeah, but it tries.
But by and large,
it's people that care about the franchise making it
Absolutely.
rather than money grabbing so-and-sos.
I thought it was a much more worthy sequel to T2 than T3 was.
Although if it had carried on, we couldn't have Lena Headey as Cersei Lannister, so sacrifices had to be made for that
Absolutely.
casting.
And we couldn't have Summer Glau, getting added to the principal casts of more things and therefore them getting cancelled.
She is an albatross.
Bless her.
She is an albatross.
Yeah. So that's the Terminator title. Not feeling it so far. It was accompanied by we'll put the image up, but a shot of Arnie relaxing on his chair.
Mm-hmm.
He's silhouetted. It's hard to tell. Presumably he's in costume on the set.
I think the fact the image has already been up.
Yeah, but well, not when I'm speaking right now. Oh, are we going on the idea that this is live?
Yeah.
Okay, the image has already been up. Ignore all this. I think people know how YouTube works.
Okay, alright. But,
Sorry.
yeah, that's okay.
That's fine.
Carry on.
Yeah,
Alright.
we'll get past it.
Yeah.
Power through.
Oh, look out behind you! Ah, you see. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Terminator Genesis. Moving swiftly on, but staying within the realm of Arnie.
Yeah, the Legend of Conan, which is the third in Arnie's Conan trilogy, ignoring the reboot of Marcus Nispel's
The third.
Conan the Barbarian.
It's the third Conan movie.
It's the third Conan movie. Previously known as King Conan and Conan Crown of Iron and various other names at different times.
John Conan.
John Conan. Nice. Conan Balboa. There's a lot of jokes.
Barboa, that's brilliant. Yeah.
So Conan, The Legend of Conan, will start filming late this year? Early next year? For a 2015-2016 release?
Apparently I really don't want to tempt fate, but I mean the producers have already done so.
Yeah.
It's still not officially been greenlit, but it's
Are you sure?
Well, according to the article I read today, but whether that's been
I know
done,
it hasn't started production, but I thought it had been greenlit.
Well, the quote I read was from the producer who he was confident enough.
Okay.
That he said I think it's possible he's been told he's got the green light, but ink isn't dry.
Okay.
On contrary, I don't know, but
according to him, he and Arnie both hope it will be Arnie's next film.
Yeah.
And given the turnout that he's had since leaving the office of governor, next film could be quite quick, couldn't it? I mean, if it does get the green light.
What do we have? Last Stand.
Sabotage, the prison one with Sly. Expendables
3. More on that in a minute. So yeah, he has been quite busy. Actually, yeah. And the exposure it's almost been a an incremental increase in how big an impact the
Yes,
film
it has. He's been very
as well, yeah.
canny with his re-emergence into Hollywood, hasn't he? He's definitely got a team of PR people. But the third Conan film has at various times been attached to the Wachowski brothers before they ruined their own credibility with, their post-Matrix outings, of which Cloud Atlas is really good, but the rest of it's kind of mediocre at best.
Racer!
It was also attached, and this is something that should have happened, and damn Hollywood for not letting it happen. John Milius, the man who gave us Conan the Barbarian in 1982, he was attached to direct King Conan, to wrap up his vision of Arnie as Conan in Hyperborea, and that fell through. That didn't happen.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. I love Conan. I don't think I've said it enough on these podcasts and vidcasts, but I love Conan the Barbarian very, very much. And I love the Robert E. Howard books, and I love the Robert Jordan books, and I love the Elsbrag de Camp books. What I don't love is the cartoon from the 90s or the TV series from the late 90s
That's
and early 90s.
what I can bring to this fandom.
What I would have had, though, was... Is it Ralph Mueller? The German guy from Gladiator.
He did.
He was Conan in the live-action TV series.
Yeah.
I would have had him be in an R-rated or 18 certificate Conan film. He was okay. And there was also the guy.
To imagine that Hagen in Gladiator is his Conan, having been caught and. Yeah.
But I also really like the guy from Terminator Salvation who does the body of young Arnie.
Roland Kickinger.
He's got a very... obviously he's got an Arnie-ish body. He could be good Conan. It's not a role that requires a great deal of acting. If you can grunt and look serious, you've basically got it. It makes you wonder how Jason Momoa got it so
How did he
wrong.
get it wrong, yeah.
But
I think it's Marcus Nispel's fault.
Yes, I agree.
It's all Marcus Nispel's
but I'm a very big fan of Conan, of the property. I love the sort of the dark fantasy, historical fantasy. It's very non-fancy, no dragons. There's occasionally a monster and occasionally a spell, but usually it's just big men with swords hitting each other until blood comes out. And I like that a lot, I think it's very good. And the original Conan the Barbarian, I love the Destroyer as well for very different reasons.
Yeah.
It's a cheese fest, but it's a good cheese fest. But Conan the Barbarian is a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
Very, very deep and serious, and it's about something, and it feels... The people that are making it are taking it seriously, and you don't get that with Beastmaster and Dragon Slayer and Hawk the Slayer and bloody Krull.
Basically, if James Earl Jones is your villain, your film is guaranteed to be at least Return of the Jedi good.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no. What's he been the villain in that's worse than Return of the Jedi? There must be something out there. More on that later.
Technically, Revenge of the Sith for like a minute.
Yeah, but it's got the least amount of James Earl Jones. It's the worst film.
That's the science of James Earl Jones.
Okay.
Star Wars cropped up nice and early today.
Yeah. So into our third Arnie story.
Yes, the third part of the trifecta. Trinity, Arnie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Trifecta. Yeah.
Expendables 3.
Yeah.
It's shaping up. I don't think it's going to be particularly good. It might be.
Okay. Reviews. Other reviews, all right.
I haven't read that.
No,
many.
I've not. I think the premiere was only yesterday, wasn't it? So reviews will be slow to come in.
Yeah,
it's not one that I'm dying to see.
No.
Arnie's got a bigger part in it than he had in the previous two. It was a cameo in the first one, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one scene in the first
one. And the second one he got, co-star.
Supporting character. Yeah, he got co-star billing, but in terms of screen time, I'd say supporting character screen time.
But the first one was a 15, 18? 15?
I think it might have been an 18.
It was an 18.
It's pretty violent.
The second one was an 18. This one's a PG-13, which is like a 12A.
This, I think, is them offsetting the cost of the number of names, but also the size of some of the names. I think Harrison Ford and Kelsey Grammer have been more expensive.
More audience, do they?
Certainly, they're more expensive than Terry Crews and Randy Couture and
not very expendable, as you might say.
Finest satire
That's a
on the
fake
internet
laugh.
here. That's the realest laugh you will ever hear. That is such a real laugh. I can't remember the exact quote.
Okay, so yeah. It brings to mind a quick topic for discussion.
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone, very, very good in the 70s with Rocky and Rambo. First Blood.
First Blood.
Very, very iffy in the 80s. Some good stuff, some bad stuff. He did some reasonably good stuff in the 90s. I still like Demolition Man. Not so much Dredd.
Copland.
Judge Dredd. Copland. And then he sort of had a career renaissance with Rocky Balboa, John Rambo, and various other properties that he was involved with. The Expendables, did well enough to warrant 2 sequels.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking is if he's in a film with all of these 80s action icons, who's better than him? Who's better than Sly?
At being an 80s action icon, or in terms of just how good an actor are they?
Both.
Okay, I think that's 2 different lists.
I don't.
Well, I think, for a start...
what do you want to do? Actor or action star?
Jason Statham is a much better actor than Dolph Lundgren, but a much worse 80s action icon, seeing as how he wasn't working in the 80s. So,
a literal 80s action
icon. Yeah, or you just mean...
80s style action
let's go
with
old school action.
Let's go with acting then. As actors, as film stars...
As acting ability goes.
Who's better than Sylvester Stallone?
I tell you who's not.
Go for it.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Ooh, okay.
I'm not saying... Arnie's best day is probably better than Sly's worst.
Okay.
I would certainly agree with that. But Sly's had more good days more consistently than Arnie has. Even on Arnie's good days, it's Arnie being in good films rather than necessarily Arnie being very good.
Artistically, I think I completely agree. And seeing as that's kind of the list we were doing, then I have no choice but to agree. Sly is a better actor, better writer, better producer, better director, because Arnie doesn't direct.
He's certainly a better producer, because Arnie will basically put his name on anything.
But Arnie is iconic.
Arnie's
beyond Sylvester Stallone.
Arnie's iconic beyond most human beings.
Yeah, but no, that's not the argument, is it? So, okay, fair enough.
I mean, nothing Sly's done in terms of films he's been in has touched me or been as significant to me as Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is like the daddy of, or was like the daddy of cinema for me for a long, long time. Long obsession with that movie. And none of Sly's stuff, even Rocky and Rambo, as much as I love them, has had that effect on me. But, I mean, when you look at Rocky 1, you look at First Blood, you look at Copland, you look at Rocky Balboa, Arnie on his finest day doesn't come close to any of those 4 performances.
No, so that's very true. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Who else is in the Expendables?
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, not now.
Yeah.
Not now. I think going back to this... On X's worst day, he's better than X on his best day. On his best day, he's better than Sly on his best day.
Yeah, I think.
But I think Sly's had more better days of late.
Yeah, Bruce Willis has definitely started clocking out.
Yeah.
Every time, and when you see him doing press for things and stuff, and it's partly maybe because he's doing projects for the money, so he doesn't really care about them.
That's exactly what it is.
It really comes across because in the press. He's not even faking it.
He's in Moonrise Kingdom, Wes Anderson's film before Grand Budapest Hotel, and he's really, really good in it. And he obviously got paid zilch because it's an indie film.
Yeah.
But he's great. He's really good. So he's still got it when he wants it. He just very rarely brings it to the table, which is a damn shame. I think Dolph Lundgren is not even in contention.
No, he's awful.
He's not a good actor.
No.
He's not a good film star. He's had some good moments, Rocky IV, Masters of the Universe.
There are 3 Dolph Lundgren films that I will subject myself to. Universal Soldier, Rocky IV, and Masters of the Universe. Those are the only 3 I watch more than once, by choice.
He made a film either last year or this year where he plays a special operative in a zombie-infested city in control of a squadron of robots. It's not called Zombies versus Robots, but it should be.
Yeah.
It's cheese, bad special effects. It's one of these sort of asylum-type pictures. It's just dreadful.
They could call the sequel Robot Zombies versus Dolph Lundgren, and that would probably make
That would be amazing.
That would be the next Sharknado.
Zombie Lundgren versus Dolphbot.
Oh.
And he plays both roles.
Plays both roles.
Ah.
Oh, like Van Damme in Double Impact.
Yeah. There we go. Get in touch, Hollywood.
We want royalties.
So Lundgren not a chance. Jet Li. Jet Li has attempted some very worthwhile stuff in the past. He's also done some shockers. But a lot of his Chinese stuff, especially things like this. I'm going to hate myself for this. I'll flash up the text on the video. So it's this film here. It's
going to be hilarious watching this with that one and then that one.
Yeah, they're both very good.
Yeah, they're both really good.
He plays the guy that trained Bruce Lee. It's not Ip Man.
But it's another film.
It's another film in that vein about that guy.
Right,
and it's very good, very worthwhile. He's done a couple of films about the Monkey King, which is like the Chinese Lord of the Rings. It's kind of their staple myth and legend.
What's the one he and Jackie Chan did together?
The Forbidden Kingdom.
Forbidden Kingdom. Is it in use? I've not seen it.
It's not great.
Okay.
It's the Hollywood version of that film.
Ah, I see it. I thought there was a reason that rang a bell.
Yeah. Basically, it's a young American California kid who gets sent to ancient China to...
You lost me at hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he has done some very worthwhile stuff. He's not a great actor, but he's not a terrible actor. And when he's making these films that are about something, then he skirts the top of the Stallonosphere.
I'd say he's certainly better than Dolph Lundgren. He's better than Judge Dredd Stallone. He's not as good as Rocky Stallone. Yeah.
That's a very great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Who's not better than Judge Dredd Stallone? Lundgren.
Lundgren.
He's better at He-Man than Stallone is as Dredd.
Yeah.
Even though the film isn't.
Lundgren did kind of understand what was required from He-Man. He's just not a good actor.
Yeah.
Whereas Judge Dredd just shows how fundamentally Sylvester Stallone either didn't read or completely misunderstood the comics.
Yeah.
It's an exercise in just how dangerous it is. You don't need to be a slave to the source material when you're adapting something, but you need to get it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand what it is you're adapting and make sensible changes.
Yeah.
Like Chris Nolan's Batman, like most of the Marvel movies, like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, they're all based to varying degrees. Some of them are almost straight lifts, and some of them are barely recognisable. But they're all, the thing they have in common is this guy's clearly read a comic or two and then written a script.
Yeah.
Judge Dredd, it's literally just the helmet looks cool. Let's make a movie about the helmet.
Yeah.
And then take the helmet off.
Yeah.
Apparently he wanted only Dredd to have the eagle shoulder pad, so that Dredd would stand out from all the other judges. Setting aside the fact that it's a uniform, and Dredd's not RoboCop, he's Dirty Harry. He's just another one of the judges.
Yeah.
He's special to the audience because he's the hero of the story, but he's not Super Judge.
No.
He's just the judge whose story we're being told. And Stallone was like, no, I'm Judge Dredd, this is my movie, so I get the big eagle and you guys just have the little shoulder pads. That alarm bell should have been ringing at that point, long before the cameras were even rolling.
I think the money was ka-chinging too loud to hit the alarm bells. But Jet Li, Jet Li.
Sorry, Jet Li,
The State has done some good work, especially with Guy Ritchie. He's done some very terrible work.
Yeah.
Very bad acting.
Did he not do one with Jet Li? I think they did a few with Jet Li.
Certainly the one is Jason Statham partnered with Jet Li fighting evil Jet Li.
Is he not in... There's something about... It's not Kiss of the Dragon. That's a Jet Li film.
That would be amazing. I would see a rom-com with those two as the leads.
Apparently... Will we share Expendables 3 spoiler?
Well, it's not out yet, so I don't think so.
Okay, we won't.
There is something about like what we've just been talking about, which we'll discuss on the next vidcast, just to prove that we knew what it was.
Yeah, that joke will become relevant when and if you see Expendables 3. Anyway.
Who else? Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. I love Terry Crews.
I love him in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, he's really good in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Almost good enough, or possibly even good enough to make me forgive him for his involvement with the Wayans brothers. I'm not forgiving the Wayans brothers.
No.
No, there's no limit. 90s joke.
If you're doing 80s jokes, it's The Expendables.
It is The Expendables.
But anyway, Terry Crews,
Terry Crews
he's
is-
suitably beefy and he's got comedy chops.
Terry Crews and the Staith, and not to do a disservice to the Staith and like you're saying in the Guy Ritchie stuff, and that, I think it's better than what Terry Crews does. But I think they're both acutely aware of what these movies are. They get it.
I can't see Terry Crews doing Copland.
No.
I can't see Terry Crews doing Rocky Balboa, and that I think is why he is
He'd be lower.
sub
Stallone. Sub Stallone, that's a good, yeah. I think that's fair. We've got Randy Couture.
Next.
Fighter turned actor, yeah. Fighter turned appears in films.
Next.
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke is super Stallone in terms of he is outside the Stallone sphere. He is orbiting
Yeah.
on his own up there.
As far as career choices go, it's every bit as eclectic as Stallone.
Yeah, his Marv is just as big a comeback as Rocky Balboa.
Oh, very much so. And you could argue it's even bigger.
He'd fallen further, I think.
He'd fallen further, and his comeback came from him. Even when Mickey Rourke was a big name the first time round, he wasn't as big as the star of the Rocky and Rambo franchise.
That's true.
And similarly, the character he came back with was a previously unfilmed character from a reasonably famous in comic book circles comic book. But yeah, not exactly. He didn't come back playing Spider-Man in Spider-Man.
That's very true.
Which would have been dreadful.
I'd have loved that.
Oh yeah, you'd have watched it.
Yeah.
It would have made its money back out of sheer morbid curiosity.
Especially if he'd still been a teenager at college.
Yeah.
55-year-old grizzled ex-boxer.
Mickey Rourke drilling over Kirsten Dunst. Oh. But yeah, he came back with Marv. Whereas Stallone, I'll be honest, absolutely blew me away with Rocky Balboa. I was on my feet. I was with you. I was on my feet cheering in the cinema.
Yeah.
With Rocky Balboa, it was glorious. But it was Rocky. We grew up loving Rocky, and yeah, he'd fallen on hard times. Rocky 5 sucked. But it was a name we knew and a brand we knew, and Mickey Rourke didn't do any of that. He took a chance on and arguably Rodriguez and Miller took a chance on him, and it worked out well for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, the comeback king. Yeah.
I'll tell you who else I'd have liked is Mickey Rourke's Hellboy.
Oh.
I don't want to live in a world with no Ron Perlman's Hellboy, but Mickey Rourke's Hellboy would be quite good.
When the reboot happens,
yeah,
that could be okay. Or even saw the reboot if they Ruffalo him. Yeah. I don't want Ron Perlman to leave, but if he does, you know, and Mickey Rourke even now he's doing well, but he's not exactly turning down work left, right, and centre.
No, he's not.
Probably.
He'd work with Del Toro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Cult favourite directors doing comic books from off the Marvel DC bitten path have worked out well for Mickey Rourke before. So I think he'd do it again. And mind you, Iron Man 2, which is on the Marvel DC beaten path, but that kind of soured him.
Yeah.
I think of comic book movies, but I think a director like Del Toro is less likely to screw him over than a big studio system like Marvel did.
Harrison Ford. He's better than
He's a better actor than Stallone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next.
Kelsey Grammer. Now I think he's a villain, is he? Or no, I think he's a...
Well, he counts. He's
still
in the film.
counts, yeah. I suppose Dolph Lundgren was a villain for most of the first one, so...
Yeah. Kelsey Grammer, he's better than Stallone.
Yeah, he's a better actor.
Yeah.
He's not had quite the career peak in terms of...
Well,
global
he's not had the
recognition.
cinema career. He's had a very, very good TV career. Frasier
alone,
was a behemoth of the sitcom circuit.
It was one of the better things about Cheers, and then
Uh-huh.
one of the only successful single character spinning off into their own sitcom.
Yeah.
I mean, what else was there?
Joey. Mork and Mindy.
Yeah. Mark and Mindy's not as good as Frasier.
No. No.
It's not as bad as Joey.
No.
But
No.
it's not as good as Frasier.
No.
But yeah, Kelsey Grammer, I think he's
Yeah. He's,
beyond Stallone, super Stallone.
Yeah.
Sub Stallone and super Stallone, are these the terms we're going to use?
this is what I'm going for,
Okay.
rather than
Yeah,
Super Stallone. You know.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. Once upon a time.
Yeah.
I think we need to divorce ourselves from what we think of Mel Gibson as a man. I think I like him more than a lot of people do, but he's still a massive douche who I'm not particularly fond of. But
At a risk of Gary Oldmaning myself, he is a man who has struggled with alcohol, anti-Semitism. His dad is a very famous Holocaust denier. I'm not saying that we should cast off all blame from everyone for everything because of what they went through as children, but he needs help rather than
scorn. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it.
But as a film star, I think he's up above Stallone. He's got a very, very great body of work, from Mad Max through to Lethal Weapon through to
and that's it. Again, you look at the weak point of Mad Max, and it's Beyond Thunderdome for me.
Okay.
Which is still better than Rocky V or Rambo 3. And you look at the weak point of Lethal Weapon,
are all better than the bad Rockies.
Yeah, well, I would say the low point of Lethal Weapon is any of them, just as the high point is any of them.
Okay.
It's essentially the same film 4 times, and it's a film I love.
There's Gambit, not Gambit. Maverick, which is amazing.
Quite good.
Paycheck.
Payback.
Paycheck is Ben
Ben Affleck. It's Batman.
Payback is good.
Payback is
Ransom
good. Ransom's good. Patrick Stewart, is that the one with Patrick Stewart's a villain?
Ransom? No, it's Gary Sinise.
Which one's Patrick Stewart the baddie in it?
That's the one where he's a
conspiracy
theorist. Yes.
Conspiracy theory, of course.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's also good.
Yeah. So Mel Gibson's got some really good stuff on his CV. Not to mention Apocalypto and that's it. Not the Passion of the Christ. Not the Passion of the Christ. It's a bad. It's not a bad film. It's a very bad story. They've taken a story which is beloved to millions and turned it into a snuff film.
Yeah.
Nah.
Braveheart.
I don't like fantasy. It's a lie. I love fantasy, but yeah.
Nah, Braveheart's good.
No, it's not.
People's reactions to Braveheart isn't good, but Braveheart's good. Taken
out of historical context, yes, it's a very fine film.
Taken as a historical film in the same sense that Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is a historical film, it's an enjoyable time.
But you don't see anyone from Nottingham using it. I know. Yeah.
Okay. It's well made, good battles, mostly good performances. The music kicks ass. And it's less of a vanity project than I thought. Apparently, he didn't want to direct it. And it was one of the ways to secure funding was they wanted to be able to slap his name and face on the poster.
Oh,
no,
really?
He didn't want to direct it. He didn't want to be in it.
He wanted to direct it and have someone else star.
Rob Roy McGregor. And
obviously. Yeah. William Wallace,
yeah. And one of the ways is they said, no, if you want this much money to make this film, we want to be able to use your face, not just your name.
I believe that he didn't have to be pushed that hard to star in
probably,
it. It is a vanity project. It maybe not started out that way, but he loves himself more than anybody else loves him, and that's very clear in the film.
That's very true. Talking of Mel Gibson, why hasn't Danny Glover been asked to be in one of these yet?
Damn it.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you going to say that, or
I wasn't? No, but it makes perfect sense. Yeah. Danny Glover is the long forgotten child of the 80s. He is
he's beaten the Predator more than any of them apart from Arnie. Right. Mel Gibson. We've just talked about all his many wonderful achievements, but he's in this film because of Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
That's why he's an expendable. It's not to do anything else. And he's only one half of what we love about Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Danny Glover. Yeah,
absolutely.
I understand he literally is
Danny Glover, please.
Yeah, I mean he literally is getting too old for this shit.
We could have the Exploitables and all black Expendables.
Terry Crews and Wesley Snipes jumping shit.
That could be a thing. Yeah. They're doing an all female The Expendables.
The Expendables, yeah.
So the Exploitables could be.
It could be a thing, yeah.
A black exploitation or the black Spendables. I'm going to stop now before I veer off funny into...
you are starting to sound like Mel Gibson. Hello!
Yeah. I hope any of our African American or Afro Caribbean viewers don't find that offensive. I wasn't meaning to belittle your people. I was riffing on the cinematic genre.
Yeah. I think that came across.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Which brings us kicking and screaming to Blade. We haven't mentioned him yet.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes. Again, he has done some very interesting stuff in the past.
Like Blade.
I would put him below Stallone because I don't think he's done as much really good stuff as Stallone.
I would agree. None of the stuff I've seen him where I've really enjoyed him in has pushed him that much as an actor either. No. It's like I keep saying about Russell Crowe and Gladiator, and it's one of my favourite films. And I do think it's a great performance, but it's not a performance that required him to step very far out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
And Wesley Snipes, when you look at Passenger 57, Blade 2, I'm not going to talk about the other one.
White Men Can't Jump.
White Men Can't Jump, Demolition Man.
They're
They're
really
all
liked,
great fun.
US Marshals as well.
US Marshals, of course, yeah.
It's a bit. It didn't get a very good critical reception, but I
I
liked
thought
it.
it was harsh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly, when you compare it to modern cash-in sequels, it's a lot better.
But I think they're all... None of them require an actor of the range that... I'm making Stallone sound like...
Like some kind of Olivier Award winning.
Yeah. But none of them would require an actor of the same range as a CV that's got both Copland and the Expendables on it would require.
Yeah.
So that alone, yeah. So yeah, sub Stallone for the Snipes.
Antonio Banderas.
Of course, I forgot he was in this one.
I put him above Stallone.
Yes.
I think he's done some very, very good work. He's done some very bad work as well. What's My Time in Mexico?
I think having also done some very bad work is one of the other things that unites all of these men.
Yeah. Apart from Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah. He's bound to have been in some turkeys.
He did some comedy where he played a admiral
down
Periscope. Fair enough.
I remember being so excited about that. I remember renting that from the corner shop. I was delighted because Frasier was in a film and it was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
It was Frasier on a submarine. It was not Frasier on a submarine.
No. It was Kelsey Grammer desperately grasping.
Of course it wouldn't be, but I was a kid, I didn't know any better. Kelsey Grammer was a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
He should have known better.
Yeah.
He's Beast, though. He was awesome.
Yeah.
The film wasn't great, but he was.
Yeah. So there we have our We'll get some kind of official chart.
We'll put up
maybe stick it on the blog.
A bar chart or something. Yeah.
I'm not making a bar chart for this video.
Okay.
We'll do it. We'll put it on the blog.
Yeah.
malcolmbenjy.blogspot.com.
And then give us your own votes for movie stars. Even out with the Expendables franchise, people like Danny Glover, who you might think should be in it and aren't.
If we use Stallone as the gatekeeper, who's better than Stallone? Who deserves to be in another Expendables style film, and who's not as good as Stallone?
Yeah.
Who needs to be forgotten? Chuck Norris, forgotten.
Yeah,
Come on.
As far as like the awesomeness appeal goes, he's about.
But no, the awesomeness appeal of Stallone comes from the people that invented the Stallone Facts website. Norris Facts, Chuck Norris Facts website. They're the people who are responsible for Chuck Norris is awesome, not Chuck Norris.
No, it is quite funny.
It is funny,
but yes, you're right. It's not funny to the tune of trumping the man that gave us Rocky and Rambo.
No.
Yeah. So that's it.
So, Ant-Man, which is the first of the Phase 3 Marvel movies, is back on track. Peyton Reed, I
think,
is directing it. What else did he do? Cheaper by the Dozen. He wrote Cheaper by the Dozen.
Yeah.
He's not got a great CV.
No.
Unlike Edgar Wright. But, yeah. It's on track. Most of the cast is still on board.
Yeah.
We'll see how most of the Marvel films have been good. Yeah. None of them have been terrible.
I am in no way concerned that it's going to be bad. My entire concern rests with we're not getting to see the Edgar Wright version. It's with the treat being dangled and taken away.
I think, given the name of the guy who... The last time there was a person with such a questionable CV directing a Marvel film, it was Louis Leterrier. I
disagree. There are 2 Scooby-Doo movies on James Gunn's CV.
But there is also a Slither and a Super.
Yeah, but that's it.
But what's Peyton Reed got that's as good as Slither and Super?
I can't remember, but
we'll find out next podcast.
Yeah.
I'd like to remain vocalistically...
I would still
cautious.
argue that if we're saying it at worst it's going to be about as bad as The Incredible Hulk. That's not that bad.
No.
The Incredible Hulk isn't Catwoman. It's not Batman and Robin.
It's not as bad as The Incredible Hulk. It's what you've just said. It's as bad as The Incredible Hulk when we could have had Edgar Wright.
Yeah, we could have had. Yeah, absolutely. And there's no getting around that. And this is a real tragedy because even if Peyton Reed makes the best Marvel movie yet, and somehow takes that from James Gunn,
I think most people would forget Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. I think that us and the few out there like us would still be...
Maybe, yeah.
If it was as good as Guardians...
Yeah, if it's as good as Guardians...
Then it would just be us and the old guard who would be interested in
Yeah, maybe.
Edgar Wright's Ant-Man.
I still always wonder.
I think the rank and file. I think the cinema going public would forget Edgar Wright's Ant-Man. I think.
Maybe one day we'll get a Dick Donner Superman.
What
Of
Edgar Wright
Ant-Man
doing like a comic book of the script that he wrote. That would be good.
He might. You never know. It might, if it resembles it enough, he might be able to just recut it.
Yeah,
The cast's all the same.
But then
him and Joe Cornish are still getting story credit.
That takes away his directorial kudos though, because he's a very,
Oh yeah,
clever
he
man
has
with a camera.
and he has his style all of his own and so on. Yeah, no, I don't think he would ever do it.
No. Not necessarily in very, very recent news, but certainly in news since we last mentioned this film. Frozen, not adjusted for inflation, has gone on to become the highest grossing animated film of all time. Beating out Toy Story 3, which held the record since 2011, and before that I believe it was The Lion King since 94.
It certainly should have been.
I think it maybe was. Maybe Shrek took over, or Shrek 2.
See, I like Shrek and Shrek 2, but I don't
they're
like
not better
them.
than The Lion
They're not
King.
better than The Lion
No.
King. I could live with Toy Story 1 having taken it from
3.
Lion King. Yeah, I know 3 did, but I'm saying if
Oh,
Toy
you
Story,
could have taken it, right.
If Toy Story 1 had, I wouldn't be upset. But if Shrek had, I would.
Yeah. Toy Story 1 was just 1 year after Lion King.
Yeah, I know.
That's
it's mental,
weird.
isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, so Frozen, biggest animated film of all time in terms of money earned.
Yeah.
The 5th biggest film of all time when you take it away from just being animated. That's mental.
Is it the 5th of all time?
The 5th highest...
Unadjusted?
Yeah. Yeah, unadjusted for inflation.
Wow.
Adjusted for inflation, it's nowhere near.
It's nowhere near, because
money.
Gone with the Wind and all the proper ones come back.
Yeah, economics and
things.
technobabble,
Yeah. But I didn't realise it was as high as number 5.
Yeah. It's
now,
huge.
Now, not to tread on your point, I don't want to tread on your point, but as questionable as we think this placement might be, if it's number 5, that means amongst other things it's knocked a Transformers movie down a peg or two, which I'm going to come back thematically to this point when we do our final news story. On general principle, I'm proud of that.
Okay.
But here's Ben.
I don't know what to say now.
Okay, sorry. I've tried another point. I've done what I set out not to do.
You've bigged me up.
I'm sorry.
But what was my point?
Well, I'm guessing we were going to talk about the success of Frozen and whether it merits this success and how it's achieved this success.
I wasn't going to go into that. I
not?
was thinking we'd skip on to Guardians, but
okay. So you just wanted to put Frozen out there.
It's news. It's a milestone in the business side of Hollywood.
Sorry, I've turned you into a cynical child-hating monster.
Don't get me wrong. I think that, and I will be talking about that on this channel, but just not in this video.
Okay. Well, yeah. Let's
go on to our last news segment.
News thing. So much like Frozen, whether you love it or hate it, poking Transformers in the eye is a good thing. Orlando Bloom, whether you love him or hate him, you now love him. We do.
He's our second favourite actor. Not for his acting skills, which are ample. He's alright.
It's off the back of this, I'm going to, every time I rewatch Pirates of the Caribbean, I am now watching it as an Orlando Bloom vehicle that also has Johnny Depp as a comedy sidekick.
Yeah.
I'm not watching it as a Johnny Depp vehicle anymore. Until Johnny Depp gets up and hits the little bastard with a chair or something.
I agree.
We are, of course, talking about Orlando Bloom.
The righteous indignation of a whole the human race through Orlando Bloom's, holy figure, lashing out at Justin Bieber. Thank you, Orlando. You are a legend among men.
It had to be done. We tend not to bother with celeb gossip,
especially for people who aren't famous.
We did think about that, dipping our toe in that, but nobody had heard of the guy.
But everyone's heard of Bloom.
We try to avoid this type of thing, but this is just too funny.
Yeah,
it's too good. I feel kind of bad because I say it's funny. It's all to do with the guy slept with his ex-wife and then was taunting him about it. I think she was still his wife at the time, and I don't know how murky it gets, but it's
split up a while ago.
Did they? Oh,
yeah,
well,
I think so. People didn't have
he
pubes
probably
back then,
he still wasn't legal.
Well, it isn't now.
But it's kind of, when you think about the emotions and what's involved, I would hate to imagine if something like that happened to me and then this little punk kid's taunting me about it. and then people are laughing about that on the internet, that feels kind of uncomfortable. But divorcing it from that, irrespective of why he punched him, and I'm happy.
I would very happily let Bieber sleep with my ex-wife if it meant I had a good reason to then go and punch him.
But you don't need to, because you have a good reason to go and punch him anyway.
Because he's Bieber.
But
people won't accept that.
No. Believers won't accept that.
Ugh.
I really hope, like, out of our half-dozen subscribers, there aren't, like, 6 believers.
If you are a believer and you're watching this video,
click the
turn it
unsubscribe
off.
button.
This is not for you.
Yeah. We would rather have even less traffic than we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not a believer, then, share this video.
Yeah.
Please.
With as many believers as you can.
The sooner we can get paid for doing this, the sooner we can stop planning our bank robbery.
Allegedly, the 3 or 4 of the mountainous dudes that follow Bieber around got in the way and the punch didn't land. But
they
I
should
still
be ashamed of themselves.
Well, they're working Joes. They've got
for
a job
Bieber
to do,
though.
But yeah, I know. But
They're working Justins.
I don't want anyone but Justin to be the villain in this story.
Well, they're henchmen. They
still,
have to be henchmen.
yeah,
Every villain has henchmen.
1-800 henchmen. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, bless Legolas for trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time, you have my axe.
Yeah. I wanted to mash up when I got told about him. When I got the full story and realised he'd missed the punch, I really wanted to get the clip from Pirates 1 where he wants to go after Elizabeth and they won't listen to him and he goes, "That's not good enough!" and throws his axe into the table. I thought that would be quite funny. I realised we could have just spliced that in rather than me describe it, because Orlando Bloom does a better Orlando Bloom than I do. But it's happened now, it's out there.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
So, on to our main review for this video. Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy, directed by James Gunn and written by James Gunn amongst other people, starring
Chris Pratt
as Peter Quill, Star-Lord,
Zoe Saldana
as Gamora,
Dave Bautista
as Drax,
and featuring Vin Diesel
as Groot,
and Bradley Cooper
as Rocket Raccoon, as Rocket.
As Rocket, yes, very important, isn't it?
This guy.
And a whole host of many others.
Yeah, very talented.
Karen Gillan, Lee Pace, Glenn Close, John C. Reilly, Peter Serafinowicz.
Yeah.
It keeps coming. Sean Gunn's in it. James Gunn's in it.
Of course, Sean Gunn. Yeah. That guy.
Yeah, that guy.
I love Sean Gunn's work.
I love Sean Gunn's work now.
Obviously.
Well, he was Rocket on set. He stood in for Rocket.
Yeah.
Because they hadn't cast Bradley Cooper yet.
I know.
I'm giving him some mad props.
Give him some props. Okay, fine. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe film 10 in a series of 10 so far. It's not really as linked with the others as the others have been. For example, Cap 2 really follows on from the Avengers, as does Iron Man 3. Iron Man 2 leads into the Avengers, the whole... They all fit together very, very closely. This sits apart from the others because it's a space opera. It's
one of these things is not like the others.
Yeah.
One of these things is The Incredible Hulk.
But it's set out there in the galaxy in sort of Star Wars / Battlestar Galactica / Flash Gordon territory.
Yeah.
So it's very different from the other Marvel Cinematic Universe films, even though it is canon with them, because we've got characters that have appeared in the Avengers and also Thor: The Dark World who appear in this. So there's links there.
There's more of that connective tissue that Kevin Feige and Sam Jackson like to talk about in interviews. And it's there, but it's less overt than it's been in the other ones.
It's the story of a young Earthborn person who is abducted at the age of 8 or 9 by aliens. And then taken into space. We flash forward 18 years and he's living as a sort of a pirate /
26 years.
How long did I say?
18.
26 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I saw the extended cut where we have one scene 18 years later and then the next.
Is this like Peter Jackson skipping out, Gandalf coming back
That's
to the
exactly what it is,
right,
yes.
Okay. He comes back for more batteries.
Yeah.
Okay.
26 years later, we skip forward, and he's a sort of a pirate / treasure hunter / sort of a raider finding ancient artifacts. He finds one particular artifact which every badass in the galaxy seems to want, and a very interesting and enjoyable madcap chase ensues where he meets up with his future teammates who become the Guardians of the Galaxy, and we have a film.
Yeah. And what a film!
And what a film.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say we both enjoyed it.
It was superb.
Yeah.
It was the biggest gamble, according to the producers, of the 10 films so far. Even the films that haven't been made that are still in production. This was the big gamble because it had no characters that had their own cartoon in the 90s. It had no characters who were, you know, well known to people outside really sort of staunch comics readers.
Yeah.
And also it had no relatable locations or events that we would know, like for example X-Men First Class. You've got the X-Men, but it's set during the Cuban Missile Crisis, so you've got that at least. This had none of that. It was a complete fantasy, a complete sci-fi space opera.
Well, I love it. It's not even the most famous lineup of the Guardians. It's a recently cobbled together lineup of the. Well, I suppose that they are through.
Was it 2008 they were first put together?
So they are the most known right now because they're the freshest.
I think the 2008 lineup, the success of that comic led to them considering the film.
Yeah, possibly.
So yeah, they're not the original, and they're not maybe the fan favourite before.
Yeah.
This film, maybe.
They're the fan favourite now.
Absolutely.
Got to be,
but one of the characters is a talking tree. One of the characters is a talking raccoon type creature. He's a raccoon in the comics. In the film, he's not a raccoon. He's an alien that looks like a raccoon.
Well, I mean, Quill calls him a raccoon, and he looks so very. Remember, there was that concept art.
But Drax talks about eating creatures like him when he was a child, and they roasted the flesh. And
yeah, but he just says rodents, though. He could be referring to mice or rats or whatever.
Does he not make a specific reference to rocket species?
Well, he says creatures like you, but I didn't think he meant creatures exactly like you.
Okay, so he could be a raccoon or he could not be.
Well, because he looks so like a raccoon, like it's not even subtly.
Well, look at the guy.
He's
a raccoon, isn't he? Look at him.
I always took it that none of them knew what to call him apart from Quill, who was from Earth. But at some point in Rocket's convoluted movie backstory, he is going to be an Earth raccoon or based on an Earth raccoon or something. Because otherwise it looks too similar. If they changed him like that concept art where he was just a little black and white stripy thing.
But then likewise, Groot is a tree and...
Yes, but trees, I imagine tree-like growths would occur on many more planets.
I disagree. Raccoons. Trees didn't appear until quite recently on Earth.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let alone out there in the cosmos.
If there's an Earth-like planet that like Xandar, the Xandarians look exactly like humans.
So then why can't the raccoon look just like a raccoon?
Well, touché.
Aha! Logic!
So maybe Drax doesn't. Maybe you're right again. Drax is talking about rocket species, and there's just another word for them on Xandar and Drax's planet and whatever. And Quill's the only one that calls him raccoon because that's Quill's only frame of reference.
We call him, yeah. Anyway, now we've got that cleared up. Very important detail, whether he's a raccoon or not. Yeah. They're a bunch of misfits. Yeah. In the words of the trailer, there's a thief, two thugs, an assassin, and a psychopath.
A maniac. You're right. Yeah, I think it's maniac or psychopath.
Yeah. Drax, played by Dave Bautista, in what is his finest role.
Oh yeah.
I've seen him in a few things, and he's always been okay. Never terrible, never quite the Rock level of good, but in this he's very, very, very good.
Very good.
He gets the character, the humour as well as the pathos, as well as the big hulking.
He was, of all of them, he wasn't necessarily the one I enjoyed the most, but he was the one that surprised me. He was the performance I enjoyed the most because I was expecting the least out of it. He really surprised me.
Yeah. Zoe Saldana, you know that she is good because you've seen Star Trek, you've seen Avatar, you've seen Columbiana, you've seen the great film, but she's good. You've seen The Losers, all the stuff she's done.
Yeah.
Chris Pratt, if you've seen the Lego Movie, you know he can do comedy. If you've seen Parks and Recreation. Rocket and Groot could have been Jar Jars, I suppose. Yeah. But from the trailers, we knew they weren't going to be.
You had a reasonable level of confidence in them.
But I agree that,
But the wrestler turned actor, and especially, given as I said before, there's way more Hulk Hogans out there than there are The Rocks.
Mm-hmm. And if you've seen The Man with the Iron Fists, which has kind of got a cult following because it's weird and because Tarantino produced it, it's not a good film, and Dave Bautista's not good in it. He's not the worst thing in it. That would be the RZA, who wrote it and directed it and starred in it. He's dreadful. But he's not good. No. But yeah, in this he's good. He's
usually, like, in Riddick, he's a slab of muscle with, like, 2 lines.
Yeah.
And that's about all you would expect from a Dave Bautista.
Mm-hmm.
until this.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, I like
I
him.
forgot he's in Riddick.
He's-
I
yeah,
quite
he's-
liked him in Riddick
yeah.
as well. He does very little. He just does the
he's-
lunkhead, but
yeah,
he does it well.
He does solid lunkhead. Yeah, he delivers exactly what's needed, and here he delivers exactly what's needed. And what's needed was a surprisingly funny, occasionally emotional, not as
Yeah.
much so as Star-Lord and Rocket.
But it doesn't ring false.
No, it certainly
When
yeah.
he talks about his family, it doesn't ring false.
Yeah.
That's the important thing, I think, for him.
Very funny, very engaging. I bought it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was happy with it.
Without wanting to spoil the ending, it ends up in a reasonably, not cliched, but certainly
the ending is the closest to the Marvel formula that it's used.
the climax is by no means an original climax. It's your average space opera.
It's very easy to, at least in terms of the setup and where it's kicking off, it's very easy to squint and see the Dark Aster
Yeah.
turning into a helicopter.
When the spaceship
Or-
starts coming into the ships and they make a big yellow force field, I start hearing Brian May's guitar going.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to not do that now.
Sorry.
But it's good. It's for most of the film, for 2/3 of the film, if not 3/4, it's very original. Maybe not.
Keep going.
It's very clever. It's witty. It's funny. It's heartwarming. It's engaging. When it does become formulaic, it's still a very good example of formula.
Yeah.
It's it's like the bits where they're following a recipe.
It's better.
They're really good at following the recipe.
Yeah. It's better, in my opinion, than the climaxes of Thor: The Dark World and Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is basically it's the same climax as them, but it's better than it. Doesn't do anything significantly
certainly
different.
than
It's
Thor,
just better than.
Yeah.
I think Winter Soldier. I think apart from the confrontation between Cap and Bucky, I think that whole ending is very, very generic, and it's just the Avengers again.
Yeah, but with different ones.
Yeah. But this is crafted very, very well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna completely contradict your point about original. It's not original.
Okay.
But it's not original in the same way that Tarantino and good George Lucas are not original. They take very well-worn tropes but use them very, very skillfully.
Yes, I think that's fair.
This has been on, I'm not originating these ideas. I'd like to take credit, but I can't. Rocket Raccoon...
So, like James Gunn and Quentin Tarantino and George Lucas.
Rocket is Han Solo. Groot is Chewbacca, because he's a large, monosyllabic muscle with a good soul. That's Chewie.
And we love him.
And a wisecracking space
badass
pirate. Yeah. Peter Quill is a young man who lost his family and then learned his destiny as the saviour of the galaxy. He's Luke Skywalker.
You know when people say, and me say every chance I can get, how Iron Man is Batman with a sense of humour.
Yeah.
Peter Quill is Luke Skywalker with a better sense of humour.
Yeah,
Luke
absolutely.
Skywalker's not a dud.
No.
But he's not as much fun as a lot of the other characters
Absolutely.
in Star Wars. But Peter Quill is probably the most fun in the Guardians. But yes, thematically he's Luke, yeah.
Drax is kind of like Chewie and Han, but also
Kind of,
something...
he's got a bit of vengeance.
I'm losing the
I don't think he has
parallels
a
here.
Star Wars parallel, but he certainly has enough parallels in these types of films.
Yeah.
He's almost like...
Yondu is Obi-Wan if Obi-Wan survived and then went on a murderous rampage against Luke.
If Obi-Wan started drinking hard, his own moonshine. Yondu, the thing is, you'll get Yondu. If you've read the comics and you're really attached to the comics version of Yondu, you'll be upset because he's very different.
But if you've seen The Walking Dead and you liked Merle...
You'll
love Yondu.
If you've ever enjoyed Michael Rooker in anything, you'll love Yondu.
Yeah.
It's the same character Michael Rooker always plays, but... He put a smile on my face for most of his scenes. It was fine.
I like Gamora. I like Zoe Saldana as Gamora, but she's more of the love interest heroine than the comic book character
She's
is.
less of the damaged, angry assassin.
Yeah, I'd have had her as a
wanted.
more dangerous assassin.
Yeah. She very quickly becomes about the greater good and wants to save people's lives because it's the right thing to do.
From the get-go, almost, she's fighting the bad guys.
Yeah, which surprised me.
Yeah, whereas she should, I think, have been a darker character and had a harder transition to the Guardians.
Yeah. And it's one of these things, to be honest with you, if I never read about Gamora, if I didn't know her from the comics, I wouldn't have this
No,
beef. It
absolutely.
certainly doesn't spoil the film.
No, she's very good. And in 2 hours, you know, when you've got 6 issues of a comic or 12 issues of a comic, you've got a lot more time to flesh out. In 2 hours, with such a big cast, you need to get there quicker. So,
But then also, to flip the blame back a bit, they did focus very heavily on her badassness and her assassinness in the marketing. And then...
Which isn't the fault of the filmmakers.
Well,
James
no,
Gunn
true.
probably had nothing to do
he's
with
not
the trailers.
making trailers. He's certainly not making TV spots.
No, they've used
So,
the comic's reputation to sell the character.
Sell the character.
But no, she's very good.
She's good, yeah. When she has action scenes, she's good in them.
Oh,
yeah. The badass
But she's the
part,
least
got down.
surprising, I think, of the
so.
5.
She's the anti-Batista.
Yeah, you know she's going to be good. You know that she's got the chops. She's a decent actress. She's a good actress.
Yeah.
And she's good in blockbusters. You
Yeah,
know
she
this
can handle
about
the
her,
physical stuff as well as being a very good actress.
The villains. I mean, you've got a real sort of Jones for Lee Pace, haven't you?
I very much enjoy him. I wish I enjoyed him more in this, but that sounds like I didn't like him. I didn't not like him in this. I liked him, but I didn't get enough of him. We didn't learn enough about Ronan. Which again is just because they've only got 2 hours. And to be honest, I was thinking about it today, and I was sort of speaking about it with people online and stuff. And actually, I'm beginning to warm to him more, because when your heroes are as numerous and as vibrant and colourful as the Guardians are, you maybe don't want a Joker or a Loki. You maybe do want a slightly better Malekith.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much what he is.
Yeah.
I preferred him to Malekith.
Yeah.
But he got about the same level of development. It's just he started off more interesting.
I think he got more development than Malekith.
Maybe, yeah.
I think a lot of Malekith is on the cutting room floor, and Ronan the Accuser wasn't.
Yeah, Ronan, you see him interacting with Thanos, you see him, the way he speaks to Gamora and Nebula, I suppose, yeah. You certainly, I buy his hatred of the Xandarians more than Malekith's hatred of Asgard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I imagine him to be how people saw Darth Vader between 1977 and 1980.
Very much.
Because let's face it, right? Your favourite things about Darth Vader, if you're a fan of Darth Vader, come from Empire and Jedi. Mm-hmm. In Star Wars, he's a great bad guy, but he's very much the henchman to Grand Moff Tarkin, Peter Cushing's character.
There's some tantalising hints about the history with Obi-Wan and the fact that he's the only, even though he's Tarkin's henchman, he's the one that uses the Force.
Yeah.
And he's the only remnant of your religion and stuff. But yeah,
he's not the villain of the film. Peter
that.
Cushing is.
Yeah.
Whereas in The Empire Strikes Back, it's retconned that Vader is the bad guy all along. He's the central villain, and when you see the trilogy, it's Vader. You know.
Yeah.
And I think if Ronan had more in a sequel, and the sequel, in the sequel these things happen, then that's what we'll get. He's very much the.
So when he turns out to be Star-Lord's dad in.
I'd buy that.
The Kree Strike Back.
I'd accept that. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
These are the Marvel planes, because I got very close to a spoiler then. But I stopped, so they're not going to bomb us.
It might be the really, really late George Lucas planes, because I just spoiled The Empire Strikes Back.
No, I can see them. They're not being CGI'd.
Oh, I see. Oh, they've not been added into the shot later. Okay. But what surprised me, I went in, and as Benji's just alluded to,
It's the Michael Bay planes.
Oh. They've just got TNA.
We haven't mentioned them yet, so...
Oh, ding!
That's fine, okay.
I've been jonesing for some Ronan for a long time. He's had, my Twitter avatar has become Ronan. Malc the Accuser right now. Enjoy that till I get sued. And so I was really looking forward to him going in, which I think is possibly why I'm maybe slightly harsher on him than I should be. I wasn't disappointed, but I was slightly underwhelmed by him. And what surprised me was how much I enjoyed Nebula. Who I thought I was going to be... I liked the look of her. As soon as I saw the photos, I liked the makeup and stuff. And Karen Gillan's very pretty. I don't love her in Doctor Who like a lot of people do. I don't hate her. She's fine.
Yeah. When you immediately follow Donna, no one can hate you.
That's true.
She had the easiest job.
Yeah.
Following on from Donna Noble.
But similarly, when you're awful to Rory, nobody can truly love you.
I liked her as well. I thought she was going to be a Darth Maul, a very one-note villain.
Very much so.
And she had some quite characterful moments, and Karen Gillan's a fine actress. She got that.
I won't directly quote any of it for again for spoilers' sake, but I love the way with literally just 2 lines, because the scene isn't about her, although she's in it. I love the way she speaks to Thanos. This isn't a spoiler. She's Thanos' daughter, or she's one of about a dozen adopted daughters of Thanos. And in the movie, she's working with Ronan for Thanos.
Thanos' behest.
Thanos' behest. And that one scene, that I love the way she imparts her lines.
Yeah.
It totally surprised me, given the tone of the film and the tone of their scene. No, not the tone of the film, it's in keeping with the tone of the film.
Yeah.
But the tone of their scenes, when the shadowy villains are all sitting around together on the shadowy planet, talking shadowily, and doing shadowy things. And then the way she exits the scene and speaks to Thanos. Keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's great. I love that.
I like Thanos. I thought Thanos was good. I'm going to finish my thought because I know you...
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, you weren't interrupting.
No, but I interrupted you about 10 minutes ago.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, right, okay.
That's fine. I forgot about what I was saying.
It was Ronan.
Yeah, Ronan. Okay. Ronan's very good. Nebula's very good. So I like Thanos. He's in it for 1 or 2 bits. He's not the villain, but he's clearly being set up in this, following on from his appearance in the Avengers. If you don't know who he is, he's the Emperor in Star Wars. He's the big bad. He's... God, what else? He's Mel Gibson in The Expendables 3. You know, he's the proper villain. And he's Ming the Merciless. You know, he's the real big bad. And he's spoken of by many of the characters as a person to fear, as a powerful entity. So we know he's being set up, but he's not a villain in this film. But I like him. I think he's good. Josh Brolin does great work on the voice. I like the design of him. He looks very Flash Gordon-y, you know, lots of gleaming metal and whatnot, but it's in keeping with what I've seen in the comics.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I thought the design of him was great. I wasn't thrilled with the face. I'd like them to tighten the face up a bit. He looked a bit sort of pudgy and generic inside the headpiece, but the headpiece itself and the armour was great. I think I'm warming to it. You're right. I was quite harsh on Thanos, but again, I think I'd been so invested in it for so long, and I've been waiting for so long that I was. Yeah, it would have been hard not to disappoint me, I think. Yeah. But I think my biggest beef with it is the lighting. It's really dark in that shot in Avengers where he turns around and grins at the camera. And he's remarkably well lit. I think too well lit in his scene in Guardians, which takes away from some of the menace for me.
Okay, I'd go with that.
I owe you an apology though, because we were speaking about it the other day, and I flat out lied to you. I was going off dull intel, and by dull intel I mean I hadn't looked yet. Okay. Or I just made an assumption. He was motion captured by Josh Brolin. Okay. James Gunn on the Empire Spoiler podcast. Yeah, I'll advertise Empire on our channel because we're cool like that. Yeah, read Empire. Hopefully they'll do the same back for us.
Yeah, of course, because they watch us.
Of course. On the Empire podcast, James Gunn was speaking to them, and he said the only truly motion captured role in the entire film is Thanos. Okay. And that was after me saying to you, no, I think he just did the voice, and they're going to mocap him for Guardians 2 and Avengers 3. Okay. But no, he was mocapped. So. But I still would like them to do some tweaking to the design of the face. If they can make it look more like Damon Poitier, Avengers. If they can make the face look more like the face that grinned at us in the Avengers credits and leave the rest of it alone and keep Josh Brolin's eyes and voice, I'll be a happy man. I'll be a very happy man. The voice was great. With that line, I'd bathe the spaceways with your blood. Yeah.
I thought the design of the film was really good. It wasn't as good as, again, going back to it, as Star Wars, as Firefly, as Alien. The really successful sci-fi worlds that really stick with me are the ones that feel really lived in. And I think Guardians had an element of that, but it felt a little bit too much like a constructed set. Especially on Xandar. It felt like Mass Effect, which is too clean. Yeah. And less like, Star Wars. Yeah. Which is grubby. I think that Peter Quill's ship had more of that, but not enough to feel like he actually been flying that ship around for 26 years. Yeah. But I still like the design. The Milano didn't look like most sci-fi spaceships, and I like that. I appreciate that it had a bit of originality to it, and the Nova core ships looked original.
I love the Nova ships. Yeah, they were great.
Ronan's sort of big black bad guy
I-
ship.
I
That looked really good as
adored
well.
the Dark Aster. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked really cool.
In fact, what that gave me real sort of flashbacks to was Noah, the Ark of Darren Aronofsky's Noah.
Yeah, the big blocky.
Yeah.
Just a moving edifice rather than something that looks like it's designed
big,
for motion.
something
Yeah,
epic. Yeah,
It adds to the frighteningness.
Yeah.
The intimidation. This thing that looks like it shouldn't be able to move. It's not a vehicle. It's a building.
Yeah.
And yet it's travelling through the spaceways.
Yeah. There are two things that I really, really enjoyed in terms of the design. One is Nowhere, especially from the outside.
Yeah.
The decapitated head of a celestial being.
Yeah.
Brilliant. On the inside, it looked again a little bit generic, still well done, but a bit generic. But on the outside, it was great. Whoever came up with that in the comics, that we're going to set our story arc, or we're going to put the base for the guy in the head of a giant dead alien, genius. And the other thing was at the very beginning when Quill is on the planet looking for the MacGuffin.
Yeah.
And he puts this little hologram on, and the hologram is like a video recording of what this planet looked like before it became a ruin. So you've got this ruined planet with this hologram of what the rest of it looked like, and that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was clever.
Absolutely fantastically done. Brilliant idea. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
The prison was alright. What would be really annoying is if the camera didn't pick up.
Yeah, and we're just
sat there
reacting
for
to nothing.
Yeah.
That's the Jonathan Liebsman plane following along doing whatever the Michael Bay plane told it to do.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah.
He's done nothing to me yet.
I want to talk about that before we finish this vidcast. So yeah.
Talking of the scene at the start with the mapping the old planet onto the dead planet. While we're on that dead planet, the opening credits, some of the best opening credits I've seen for a long time. Opening credits are becoming quite rare these days.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of films, Chris Nolan, just put the title at the end.
Yeah.
And that's cool, it works, it's quite effective. But this one actually did have a proper old-fashioned opening credits scene.
Names, title, good music.
And yeah, they used
edited
it
to go with the titles.
It's not that nothing happens during it, but it's not majorly plot advancing. You've got it, you know.
He's going from point A to point B.
Yeah, he's literally moving across a room.
You can watch the names and not miss anything.
And it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's really good fun. Particularly when the title comes up. And it just it's vaguely spoilery, but I think you'll still get the effect when you see it. It fills the screen. It's literally just giant letters just flash up with the name of the title.
It's like a 70s, 80s film.
It's it's like when Star Wars comes up and I go and then it stops there. That's basically how big they are.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Very good. Soundtrack's amazing.
Soundtrack is amazing.
I know you're
excellent segue.
Guy. Yeah.
Excellent segue.
Thank you very much.
Doff my imaginary cap to you, sir.
It's songs from the 70s and 80s up until and including the year where he got taken away.
1967.
Okay, 67s and 80s. The best soundtrack I've ever heard is Reservoir Dogs. Mm-hmm. There is no film soundtrack. I'm not talking score here, I'm talking musical numbers. There's no film soundtrack that I've ever heard that matches Reservoir Dogs in terms of songs that fit the film and songs that are also just really good songs. And this comes as close to that as I could possibly get. Yeah. It's just 12 really, really good songs, and they're used to phenomenal effect in the film. And
I love that they're not just randomly playing in the backgrounds and things. And the sticking with Marvel, the Foo Fighters song from the first Thor. It's a very good song. I enjoyed it over the end credits while I was waiting for my scene, for my post-credit stinger scene, and it plays in the background in the bar when Thor and Stellan Skarsgård are getting drunk. But that's it's on a jukebox in the background. You know, that's all it's doing.
Yes.
Whereas in this, you don't even remember it.
No.
But that's fine.
But it was there.
This is kind of my point. You know, it's a fine song that I enjoyed, and I have the CD and I listened to it. But on this film, the songs all had a point. They all had relevance, as well as just being picked because they sounded good. Most of them, maybe not quite all of them, but most of them were also picked because the lyrics either literally or usually metaphorically corresponded to what's going on. And they're used, and they're not just played over the action, but most of them are triggered by Quill playing on his
Walkman
thing. So it's very meta.
Yeah.
You're enjoying it because it's a good bit of music. Then you also think, oh, the lyrics tie in with what's happening here. I'll leave it to your imagination to guess when "Escape," the Pina Colada song, plays, for example. But then it's also, but it's not just us.
Is it when they're drinking pina coladas in nowhere?
It's exactly when they're drinking. Yeah, of course. But then it's not just us listening to it. He's probably listening to it right now as well. And there's times where he's definitely listening to it, and there's times where, is he hearing this or is this just for us? You don't know. But that playful nature.
Is he imagining it because he's listened to it so much
that, yeah, this is what's going through his head, even if he's not got the headphones on, absolutely. It's very similar to, this is going to be a total random segue to a very different film, although we've touched on him already tonight, Edgar Wright. The World's End. The moment towards the end of The World's End, where they show, where the network are trying to convince Gary to give up his crusade and say he can live forever as a young robot version of himself. And they light up the 5 youngsters, the young actors, as the robot duplicates. And the chorus from the Sisters of Mercy track, the choral intro, kicks in as they're doing it. And I watched it with the commentary on, and Edgar Wright said he likes to think, and it's just for him, it doesn't matter if you picked it up in the film or not, because it wasn't the thing, but in his mind, that's not soundtrack for the audience. The network are piping in Gary's favourite song for Gary to add to the allure of this shiny new robot body. And this is almost like a whole movie of that.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love it.
Yeah. I want to skip on to something that I wasn't overly keen on.
Okay, hit me.
I didn't like Yondu. I didn't like the Ravagers. Ravagers? I thought that they could have been done without. They were fine. They were fine. None of the film was bad. It's a good film, and there's nothing that stands out as being bad. But I thought they were one group too many. You've got again, trying to avoid spoilers, but you've got the Guardians, who are the 5 misfits trying to stop the bad guy from doing the bad thing. You've got the bad guy and his group doing their bad thing, and you've got the Nova Corps, which is Glenn Close's group, who are the forces of law and order. Not necessarily good guys, but they're not bad guys. They're the cops, the space cops. So you've got these 2 big groups, and you've got the Guardians in the middle. And then you've also got Yondu and the Ravagers sort of coming in here and adding what I think is just too much plot.
They were there, basically, their function was threefold. And I think I agree with you. They weren't necessarily bad, they were just unnecessary.
It was just too much, too busy.
Yeah.
They'd have been fine being in the second film as a group.
Yeah.
Once you've got the origin story and you can then expand the world, they'd have worked well there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they've got, all they're doing is they needed an excuse. They needed someone to have been the aliens that kidnapped Pete when he was a baby.
Okay.
Or when he was 8 or 9 or whatever. Which was Yondu and the Ravagers. They needed something for Michael Rooker to do because it's a Sean Gunn movie.
Right.
James Gunn movie. Sorry.
Okay.
but yeah. That's my tongue-in-cheek one. And they were there basically to give the Guardians an army to fight Ronan's army with at the end.
Yeah.
But then the Nova Corps turned up.
The Nova Corps could have been that army.
Yeah,
And Yondu could have been alone in picking up Peter.
Absolutely.
Or it could have been John C. Reilly's character, or it could have been one of the Nova Corps, it could have been... someone... It could have been the Ravagers at the beginning, and then they didn't show up again until the sequel.
Yeah. Absolutely,
they
could have been done away with. Yeah,
once you get to
even if we'd had the early scenes with Michael Rooker and Yondu, when he's phoning them up saying, "Where are you?" and I could have killed you when you were a boy, and I didn't kill you, and so that all could have been done, and then he could have been backburnered for a sequel. Absolutely, he didn't need to keep cropping up.
Yeah,
I think
and it's what stops it being, as good as Serenity.
You don't think it's as good as Serenity?
Oh, I need to watch it again.
It could be.
Right now,
but
no.
I take your point.
I think it will grow on me.
It's the thing that takes if anything's taking the shine off it.
Yeah, it's that.
This is that thing. It's another one of these very, very good films, but no film is without sin.
Aye.
To quote another YouTube channel that we like, and this is one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough.
Yeah, like I say, the climax gets a little bit generic. It's done very, very well. But I think the greatest films are the films where you have the smallest physical climax. Where you have... Just, for example, Kill Bill. I know a lot of people didn't like the ending of Kill Bill 2. I love the ending of Kill Bill 2 where it's just the two of them talking over a table and then a quick fight.
Yeah, I'm comfortable
I
with that.
love the ending of The Empire Strikes Back where basically it's Luke and Vader in the bowels of Cloud City.
And even then, it's not the sword play and the chucking things at him that's the climax.
No,
they're cool.
It's the relationship.
It's the conversation they have after the fighting is done is the climax of that movie.
Yeah. So I would maybe would have liked to have seen, rather than, okay, spoilers, rather than the large action climax that we got. That's not a spoiler, is it?
No, I think the trailers have spoiled that.
I think the other Marvel films.
You know from the trailers there's a large sort of upper atmosphere / space battle. You know from having seen a Marvel movie before when it's going to occur.
Yeah. I would have preferred there to be something more character driven.
Yes, especially given how character driven the whole film is.
Yeah.
You know, they're a surprisingly emotional film.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree.
And I imagine, comic spoilers, I imagine if in the sequel the main villain is Jason of Spartax or Jason of Spartax, then we will have that. We will have that Empire Strikes Back moment.
Absolutely.
Massive spoilers.
Unless he's not a villain. Because he could go. He's not an out and out villain.
He's not Ronan. He's not Thanos, but he would be antagonistic.
Oh, he'd definitely be antagonistic.
And then they'd make up at the end for the third film where they team up against Thanos. Maybe I don't know.
Where they both bang the same German spy without.
Raiders, ding,
ding.
No, not Raiders. Indie.
Yeah,
ding.
The Raiders franchise.
Yeah, Raiders franchise.
I was going to say something. I've totally forgotten. Yeah, you're actually right with your Serenity comparison and talking about the scale of the climax and stuff. Because you have, in Serenity, you have this big upper atmosphere battle and you've got Reavers and Alliance blowing each other up and the Serenity's weaving through it. And that's your big climax. And then you have like a slightly smaller climax where it's the crew of the Serenity versus a couple of dozen Reavers. But most of that happens off camera. And then River versus the room full of Reavers, and that all happens off camera. And then you have your real climax, which is just Mal and the operative.
But even then, it starts off as a gunfight, and it ends up as
just
devastating emotions.
Yeah. They're just having... It's a confrontation, it's not a fight. They're literally getting each other's face and talk about their issues, and that's how the movie is resolved.
The real climax, the thematic climax of the film is when the operative watches the video. Yeah. It's not the battles. That's the rapper.
Serenity's over, when the operative realises what he is. It's not even Mal's story. It's the operative story. It's brilliant. Massive spoilers for Serenity, but if you haven't seen it by now, A, what are you doing? And B, watch it. It's great.
And C, what are you doing? You're doing on YouTube. Go watch Serenity.
That's exactly why Firefly got cancelled. But yeah, back to Guardians. So a few niggles aside.
And then onto the things, plural, the two things that I love the most. I doubt for 1 second that I am the only person. In fact, I think I'm probably in a giant bandwagon here. Rocket and Groot. Aren't they good?
They're so good.
Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel, phenomenal voice performances.
I love
great
Vin
special
Diesel.
effects, beautiful facial animations. Vin Diesel's amazing, isn't he?
I really very like Vin Diesel in this. Yeah.
The reason they got Vin Diesel was because of the Iron Giant. And if you've seen the Iron Giant, Groot is the wooden Iron Giant.
Yeah.
He's the wooden giant.
He's a wooden giant.
It's the same basic character and done beautifully.
He's so good.
Done phenomenally. Funny in that he only says the 3 words. Emotional in the way Vin Diesel does them. And 3 words.
A lot of credit to the animators and designers as well. His face is like, even sometimes when he's not speaking.
Yeah.
Or when there's a noise he makes when Rocket says something he shouldn't to someone he shouldn't. And rather than saying I am Groot, Groot kind of goes and it's really funny.
Yeah.
You know, it's a kid's cartoon character reaction.
Yeah.
But it's really funny. And that's as much credit to the guys that are manipulating the Groot CG model as it is to Vin Diesel.
And
but,
Rocket is a walking, talking, gun-toting, essentially a space western cowboy who is a raccoon, and yet at no point does he feel silly or cartoonish. He feels just as real as any of the other characters. And again, that's down to Bradley Cooper and the animation team. Beautiful synergy of performance and technology.
He doesn't, Yondu, even feel unnecessary. It's not like...
Of course not. No.
What I loved is...
None of the five of them do, I think.
They don't rely, and as the comics don't, but some of the animated series have, they don't rely on him being a raccoon with a massive machine gun to be his draw. You know, he's more than that.
Yeah.
You know, that's why he's awesome, that's why he's funny, and
yeah.
You know, that's what makes people go, really? But he's a fully fleshed out character in his own right.
Yeah.
He's got pathos.
It's the wisecracks and it's the breakdowns that really sell
absolutely.
it.
He's
Sorry,
superb.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So shall we rate it?
Definitely. We're doing 2 thumbs up? No, I'm joking. After last time, I remember this time what we're doing.
Reference joke.
Can we go into quarters on points, or are we just sticking with halves?
I think it would start to become even more ridiculous than the new James Gunn movie if I'm going to stick with halves.
I'm going to go with 4.5.
I'm going to go with 4.5.
9 out of 10.
If this film isn't a 9 out of 10 film, then nothing is.
Yeah.
And we've already thrashed out 3 9.5s this summer.
It's been a very, very, very good year for blockbusters.
It's been, I think, my favourite year. A lot of people say 2012, and 2012 did have the double whammy of the Avengers and the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is better than... Dark Knight Rises, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is better than the Avengers, especially because I'm a bigger fan of Avengers comics than I have Guardians comics, and so on, and we had more films tie directly into it and more ability. I don't know. But I certainly think... It was the event impact of the Avengers as much as anything else of the 2012 special, whereas 2014 has just been a bunch of really good, really well-made films.
X-Men, Godzilla, Planet of the Apes,
Edge of Tomorrow, Captain America,
Cap,
Guardians,
and then on the indie circuit, at least Grand Budapest. I have to mention it because I love it so much.
I think that needs to be a new ding.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, this year, as far as your big blockbusters go, the biggest misfire by a has been Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was still much better than Spider-Man 3.
Even so, yeah. Yeah.
It's not what I would call a
far
bad film.
Far more good than bad.
Yeah.
Some bad. More bad than the other films you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But
it's maybe we didn't review it, we didn't rate it, but it's probably a 3 out of 5, 6 out of 10, maybe 5
I would go with that. I would go 6. I think it's better than 5 out of 10.
It's got
also, we haven't yet seen Transformers, and Turtles hasn't been released in the UK yet, so we can't talk about them.
They'll probably be our first 2 10s, I imagine. That's the only thing that can happen.
Only if we start rating out of 1,000.
We still got them to go. And then obviously we've got the non-summer season, which is basically going to be Interstellar and
we're going to do Interstellar. Yes.
We need to do Interstellar.
We'll do The Hobbit. We could even do a Hobbit trilogy.
Of course, because
Interstellar is one that we will definitely be doing.
I also want to see, I don't know if we'll get time to see it in time to make a timely video about it. I said time a lot there. But I want to see Snowpiercer.
Yes! I've read the comic. It's really, really, really good.
Is it?
Yes. Good. I want to see that as well.
Yeah.
We will do a Snowpiercer video, not at the week of release.
No. Come on, I think we've missed that.
Has it been? It's not been in cinemas. Is it on demand already?
Well, it's been out in the States, is it not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we haven't had it yet.
But it was released in cinemas and on demand, like iTunes, in the States at the same time.
Right.
And I think it'll be the same here when it comes to it.
Right. Okay. So yeah.
But we'll do a Snowpiercer video because it's a blockbuster with a reason to exist, artistic credit behind
it. Was Noah this year, or was it late last year?
Noah was this year. Yes, it was. Yes,
that was much better than I expected it to be.
Not as. In fact, you know what? It was as good as all these other films. I just didn't enjoy it as much because it wasn't my thing.
It wasn't. Like we talked about the other day. Is I'm not saying. For example, I'm not saying that Guardians of the Galaxy is better than The Godfather. But what I am saying is, one of those films was designed to cater towards me.
Yes. And
the other one was The Godfather.
Yeah.
So the one I'll watch more often when I have them both on DVD will be Guardians, because, but that's not a slight on the other movie. It's,
no.
As far as executing its mission statement goes, The Godfather's damn near untouchable.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's different.
Yeah.
Different things for different things, and,
Yeah.
and Noah was extremely good at being what Noah needed to be. It maybe just didn't quite resonate with us as much because
we're not.
We're comic geeks. We're not. Well, I suppose, but then Noah was a comic, but it was
It's a comic based on the Bible. It was the Bible first.
Yeah, but I mean, this wasn't just a film version of the Bible story. This was specifically based on that.
The comic was based on the screenplay that he was trying to get made. So again, it's a comic based on an unmade film.
It's like Kick-Ass, isn't it? They came around together.
Yeah.
And it was just one of them happened to be finished first.
Yeah. The comic's better. The comic of Noah is better than the film.
The film's very good though. Worth seeing.
Yeah. So
2014 has been a blinder so far, and it's only August.
I want to make my point before we finish.
Yes, you want to.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has been getting a lot of bad press for seeming like it's a bunch of clown shoes, like it's really just off, not what the Turtles are supposed to be, blah, 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 blah. I've been boning up on my historical Turtles. There's some awfully silly things in that franchise.
This is far from the worst.
I do not think the Turtles is going to... It might be a poor film, it might be a good film, it might be poor, but it's not going to be because it's too weird. It's not going to be because they've strayed too far from the canon. It's rubbish, some of the stuff.
I mean, the thing is, you've got your levels of Turtles geeks. I'm an 80s cartoon Turtles geek.
Okay.
And by extension, the 90s movies, which I haven't watched again as a grown-up, but when I was 6, I was mad for
So you see, you're a fan of your memories of the Turtles.
Yeah. But then, of course, there were the black and white comics that predated the TV series that were very different to the TV series.
Yeah.
Your kids that grew up reading those comics versus your kids that grew up watching the cartoon show, very different moods, very different feelings, I think.
It's like Frank Miller's Wolverine versus 90s cartoon Wolverine, isn't it?
Yeah.
90s cartoon Wolverine is still very much Wolverine, but he's not impaling people in the gut.
Yes.
The Turtles were still teenage pizza-loving turtles, but they weren't beheading ninjas.
Yeah.
Whereas in the comics...
they were. That was quite a regular occurrence. Yeah.
So I'm open-minded. I'm not open-minded about Transformers.
No,
if it's good, I'm going to try and admit it's good, but it's not going to be. But Turtles, I'm trying to stay open-minded about.
Well, yeah, the thing with Transformers is we were speaking about it at work today, and one of the girls I work with said, "I've not seen the new one yet," and I said, "Yes, you have. You've seen the other 3." I love that the tagline is "The rules have changed."
Yeah.
No, they haven't. You've still got Erin Kruger sitting at the typewriter and Michael Bay sitting behind the camera, and that's exactly what's wrong with the last 2.
The rules have changed. By film 4, there's usually a change. Anyway. So there we go. Guardians of the Galaxy. Very, very good film. We enjoyed it greatly. I hope I've touched on everything we wanted to touch upon without spoiling anything.
Yeah, I'm sure if we were to do a spoiler podcast, which we may or may not, it would be a lot longer and a lot more involved. And there were a lot of things I wanted to say tonight that I didn't for fear of spoilers.
I think I'd need to do a spoiler podcast immediately after seeing the film again.
Yeah.
I'd want to go in fresh. But we don't do that really, do we? No. So we'll just talk about it in future videos, but other films refer back to spoilers.
When we're boning up on Guardians 2, I think spoilers for Guardians 1 will be fair game by that point.
Yeah, I think so.
And we'll have it on Blu-ray and it'll be fresh, even fresher in our minds, and that'll happen. Yeah.
So thank you for watching, thank you for listening, thank you for taking the time to listen to our ramblings. If you want to hit us up, we are on Twitter at Malc and Benjy, MalcandBenjy. On the web, we're malcandbenjy.blogspot.com, and on YouTube, we are YouTube/users/Malc and Benjy. Though if you don't know where we are on YouTube and you're watching this video, how did you get
in our house?
Yeah.
I said our house, now they think we live together.
We might. They don't know. They can't see your hand.
I know.
Mark grabbed my knee below the frame. I liked it.
I've not moved it yet.
See you next time.
Bye now.